Hi, and a warm welcome to this, the first of 3 short videos that we're going to be producing, which are looking at 3 broad areas of communications which Proteus is involved in. I'm going to look at 3 problems, 3 solutions in 3 minutes. So let's get started on the first one, 3 problems in the area of public consultation. So the first problem we quite often see with development is that of a lack of context. The communities near developments quite often don't understand why the development is actually coming into their area at all. So we need to establish context. The second problem area is that very sort of difficult area of need versus greed. Are you actually just doing this development in order to make a load of money as a developer? The popular perception of development companies. And that third area is a perennial problem. How do we mobilize the community to actually come out in support of the development instead of just getting maybe 20 or 30 people who are completely against it, trying to persuade the planning authority that everybody's against it? So let's take the first one, the context. Establishing the context for a development is absolutely vital. It allows us as communicators to hang all of our other messages on it. It says this is needed and it's needed here, and our communications can talk about it within that context. But actually the developer is the worst person to do that. You need an independent third party to establish that context before you actually go out to talk about your development. The second area, which is the need versus greed, is very important. You must be clear on need, because when you start looking into need, and you have to for planning purposes anyway, but when you start looking into need from a PR point of view, you'll suddenly see that a load of other positive messages can come out from it. So for example, take an energy from waste plant that we're working on in the north of the country at the moment. The need of the development is that it will help reduce energy costs of a number of industrial processes on an industrial park. And what that's about is talking about global competitiveness in securing jobs, which allows you to inform those employees about this need, and they can feed it out into the community. So it's not just you talking about it. That's a very positive form of communications. So get your need clear. And the third area that we were talking about was saying, what about this lack of support? What can you do to get more support? Well, one of the issues we regularly see with developers is they focus their communications too close to the community near their development. And it's almost because there's an expectation from the planning authority is that this is what they should be doing. Whereas actually, if they spread the communications to include a wider community, you will find a lot more people supportive. So take, for example, one housing development that we looked at not far from here, where actually the developer had been concentrating all of its communications within about half a mile of the development. That's the very community who were against them, because these new houses were going to be built on green fields. So the community saw a loss of amenity, and that drove their campaign. Whereas actually, if they'd spread the communications out across the entire town, they suddenly would have informed thousands of people who are desperate for new houses to be built because they need more affordable housing in that town, and they could have been encouraged to come out and support the development. So when the planning authority looked at it to make a decision, there would have been more people supporting it than against it. So very quickly, establish that context before you go public by a third party. Make sure you've got your need arguments worked out, because there's lots of positive messages in there. And also make sure that your communications is spread far more broadly than just the community nearest to the development. Because then you're talking to lots of people who support you, not those people who are just too close to listen. Thank you.